Hey guys, John Koah here to go over the Koah Slip tip. I know we've had these for years and I've been doing them for quite a while, but that's been an evolution. It's taken a long time to get them to where they are today. Slip tips are very complicated, believe it or not, to make because they're a lot of precision involved. And I just wanted to show you some of the steps we do and why we do it that way, just to put these a step ahead to make them as high performance as possible to work when they need to work, because there's nothing worse than being offshore, going after wahoo, tuna, whatever, and then your tip not deploying, or you have tip wobble, or any of those things that can just ruin your trip. That's why we put so much time into these, because that's the last thing we want to hear. So basically, our slip tips come in the raw materials, the same as our shafts. It's just the highest quality centerless ground, 17.4 stainless. We use 17.4 because of its heat treat capabilities. We heat treat everything in-house. The raw material, like this round bar here, goes to our machinist, and he sends everything back to us, and what we get, we design them in-house, and then what we get is a tip. We get a base and then the tip, and you have two separate parts. So with what we have to do, and that bronze, by the way, that bronze coloring, that is a result of the heat treat process. So after they go through heat treating, depending on how long you cook them for, you can either get a light wheat bronze or you get a dark bronze, or if you cook them too long, sometimes you get, or if there's contaminants, you get purple. But you'll see these are all bronze. It's probably hard to tell from the video. But so after we receive them back, what we have on this tip, we actually have to make this tip a couple thousandths proud. And the reason you have to do that is because when you do them in volume, it's impossible to match them perfectly just off machining. You have to be able to dial each one of them in. And all of our tips, the hundreds and hundreds we sell a year, are all personally dialed in one at a time and polished, just to make sure that they have a good fit so they perform the way they are supposed to perform. Because the two biggest problems with slip tips is a tip wobble, which comes from either the tip's weight or the base is way too proud, or it's even when it's too short, you get tip wobble in a different way. Or you get a stuck tip on the base, which is from having too short of a base and the collar is sitting way too tight on the receiver. So it is a very small working point with these tips, and then we have to get it to that point. So I'm just gonna go through some of the steps and processes that we do, just to show you what we do to put us a step above what's out there and to make you the very best tip possible. So next step is, on these tips, right off of machining, they're gonna have sharp corners. Like tang is a little bit too sharp, and the line guide is also gonna be a little bit too sharp. So what we use is a very high grit Scotch Brite wheel to just slightly break those corners, and to give it a smoother, especially in the line guide area, that has to be a little bit smoother so your Dyneema inspector doesn't chafe as whatever fish is hooked onto is pulling left and right. And then this is followed up by, ever so slightly, you can see, it's hard to see in the video, but most slip tips have a ball end on them. So you have to have a ball end because it releases properly, it doesn't create a pinch point. And I have to slightly bring this down a couple thousandths, or a thousandth, less than a thousandth at a time, just polishing a little bit at a time until the tip, because when we get them in, they have a very tiny wobble to them. I mean minute wobble. And I have to sit there and just slowly bring this down a little bit at a time, and you'll see that the wobble eventually just goes to nothing. And then you have a nice solid tip that's going to perform the way you want it to perform. Now, the next step is we do it a little bit differently. I know a lot of tips out there, they have kind of a chrome or a very shiny look to them. That's electro polishing. We don't electro polish. There's nothing wrong with it. With electro polishing, they're taking micro amounts of thousandths of an inch off that tip, and obviously doing it through electricity. And what that does is it's able to take away the bronze look on the tip, and it gives it a nice smooth finish. I do it a little bit differently. I prefer to not touch the tip at all, which on the Koah Slip tip is a micro tri-cut, very micro, and I don't want to touch the tip at all. So what we end up doing is, you'll see here, I end up just polishing away the remaining part of the tip. The base doesn't matter because that doesn't have to fly through the water, and I want it to match the shaft best as possible anyway. So what I do with this, you'll see I polish it and I keep the tip bronze, and that's where I get some emails. People like, well, it looks like the tip's rusted. I'm like, no, that's just a heat treatment. We don't touch the tip of the shaft. I want that as sharp as it is out of machining. So let me show you why we do that. After that, it's pretty much finished. We just give it a quick wipe with a penetrating agent, and then I match the base directly with that tip so it always stays with it for the rest of the process. And then it moves on to the Dyneema Spectra lining that goes through the slide ring. So stay tuned. All right, so here at Koah, we have two different types of lines that we carry in large stock, which is, one is a cord Dyneema, and what it is it has a Spectra core to it, and I can't open this because it's solid. This is what we use for our reels. It has a protective sheath, and it gives it a higher tensile strength. Whereas for slip tips, we use a hollow braid or hollow core Dyneema, which has no core, just the outer sheath. And we do that so it's hard to see in the video. So when we push it together, come on, focus. When we push it together, it creates an opening like this. And through that, and using very small needles, we are able to pull the line back on itself. Now, with some slip tips, you'll see they go back on themselves, a good 4 inches, 5 inches or so, because it really works like a Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull, the more it pulls down on the line. With ours, we do it a little bit differently. We use extra line, and we pull it all the way through until it goes past the slide ring. And we do this for a couple reasons. One, mainly strength. Two, it also ensures that it will never pull out. So no matter how hard the wahoo, tuna, whatever fish you shot, pulling on it, it cannot pull out because it goes all the way through past the slide ring, and it knots. It also creates a more solid knot. The beauty of having a more solid knot is the slide ring can never crunch that knot under high stress and slide off. And I've heard the horror stories of slip tips actually pulling through there and the fish just taking off with the tip, and you're stuck with the receiver and slide ring. And since these are all individually matched, you have to order a whole new slip tip, and that sucks. So that's why we take the extra effort, and that's why we do these small things to make the slip tip as strong and as effective as possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any other questions on it, you can send us an email, John, John at koahspearguns.com, or Mike at koahspearguns.com. Thanks, guys. See you on the next video.